Hello sports fans and internet bantersauruses, welcome back to Banter with the Boys with me, your host, comedian and last-minute dropkick specialist Nik Rabinowitz. In football, the Euro Cup came home to Europe on Sunday night and England were there to wave it off. The pain from Spain was mainly for Harry Kane as England completed their 16th consecutive Brexit from the tournament. Lamine Yamal was player of the tournament at the age of 17 years and 1 day. Gareth Southgate has waistcoats and game plans older than that. It was a bad week all round for the old men of sport. Cristiano Ronaldo was wheeled out of the Euros. If you add Yamal and Carlos Alcaraz's ages together, they add up to losing Wimbledon finalist Novak Djokovic, and ancient English paceman Jimmy Anderson played his last cricket test match this weekend. I'm not saying Jimmy was old, but apparently President Joe Biden sent him a DM saying, "Come on man, it's time to give the younger generation a chance." In his test career, Jimmy Anderson bowled 40,000 balls, had 17 cuck hairstyles, ran more than 700 kilometers to the delivery crease, muttered 12 million swear words while walking back to his mark, and drank 6,781 pints of bitter after the day's play. Despite his pace having dropped, Jimmy proved to the Lord's crowd he could still swing it in for the big occasion. In rugby, the second test between the Springboks and Ireland at Kings Park ended with the Irish proving one more point against us. There was a lot of blood in the match, even for a shark tank. But probably most of the media attention was on the damage done to the opposition hooker. They called in the bomb squad after that just to make sure. Apparently their player didn't pass the HIA test, but will play on anyway. There were a number of other sharpshooters this weekend, but unfortunately, Kieran Frawley didn't miss. Two of these pictures are of red-headed monsters that came from nowhere to haunt our nightmares. The other one is Chucky the Killer Doll. Speaking of red-headed monsters, we'll be right back with today's special guest and our panel. Don't go away. Welcome to my esteemed panel, Springbok legends and BFFs, Schalk Burger, Jean de Villiers, good morning. Welcome to another cold Cape Town morning here at Nik Mallett's local. This is Nik Mallett's...
Is this his local?
This is local, Chardonnay Deli. Jean, vandag is het leeuwkoud of luiperkoud?
There's Biocoat, but at least we've got some sunshine. We have not seen a lot of sunshine in the last couple of days in Cape Town, even though I must be honest, and as my wife's been telling me, I have not been at home a lot.
Haven't you?
No.
Ja, dat is net 'n geritsel in die gras.
I don't even know what that is.
Neither do I. Today's guest answers to the nicknames Spicy Plum, Royas, Fantapants, Vlamkop, and my personal favorite, Bricklig. You probably don't want to use any of those to his face. Standing next to his wife, you would probably call him very lucky. Hailing from the Cape's Saint Rand Riviera, or as it's known in his native tongue, Die Strand. Please put your hands together for Paul Roos's greatest export since Koos Kombuis, two-time international try scorer, back-to-back Rugby World Cup winner, Springbok strongman, professional beer brewer, and amateur wakeboarder, Steven Kitshoff.
Yay!
What an intro.
Kitsie?
Lekker, what an intro.
What an intro. Welcome, Spicy Plum.
Thank you.
According to your friends here, they've just told me that when you first joined them at the Stormers at the tender age of 18, your dad actually had to sign consent for you to play. And is it true you only had 100 words a season at that time?
Yeah, my vocabulary is very capped at, I capped it at 100, so...
What is it at now? Like, are we going to make the full hour for this?
I think as the years gone by, like I improved a little bit, but yeah, I mean, when I was 18, shy and playing with these legends, like, I didn't have much to say, to be honest. Like, it was just listening, trying to take the information in as I could, but yeah.
Schalk, how long did it take, you said, to remember what his actual name was?
We didn't know his name because he didn't tell us, so Anton van Zyl just called him Fantapants. And he responded to Fantapants for the whole first season. In the second year, we actually called him Kitsie or Steven. Or
You said
whatever.
you called him Fantapants like during play?
Training.
During during an actual match.
Yeah,
We don't call him over.
Fanta pants clean or Fanta pants, give me one of these. You know?
It was difficult because, I mean, as he's sitting there now with that smile on his face, okay, rewind a couple of years. So he always, wherever, he would always be there. Okay, he's always part of the conversation, but not participating in the conversation. And always this grin and smile on his face. Always the friendliest oak. Obviously, when he has a beer or two, then kind of, you know, the vocabulary doubles up. So he has like 10 words. But at the law. So that is maintained. But I mean, look at our young boy now.
I mean, and
Just look at
He's a
him.
magnificent specimen.
Yes.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you are the love child of Frans Erasmus and the topless Cape Town tour bus?
Or the thing from Fantastic Four.
Or is it John Smith and Pippi Longstocking?
Possible. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities.
Tell us about the early years, Kitsie.
Yeah.
Like, who hurt you?
Like I was lucky. I was always the biggest
You were from
from childhood, like biggest, ugliest, reddest person in the whole school.
No,
so-
he's being harsh with himself now. Yeah.
But no, I must say, like, probably high school, grade 8 was like, there's a bit of bullying and stuff, but from grade 9 onwards, like I was pretty fine, to be
When
honest.
did you know it was prop and nothing else for you?
Probably when I missed out on under 16 Kruivenwyk or Grand Coma, and the year after I made the Kruivenwyk side and then SA schools as well. So I think that was probably like prop and nothing else. And I was still trying to dabble with loose forward and see if I can.
Where were we? Eighthman. You were Eighthman.
Eighthman, yeah.
Big ball carrying Eighthman.
Yeah.
That's proper.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, you know, you look at him now and an absolute specimen. You were saying you scored 2 international tries. And obviously also 2 World Cups, as you do. You know, 2 tries, 2 World Cups. Can't wait for you to score another one on both fronts.
Against the same team, right?
All Italy, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But like he's, you know, for a prop forward, you speak about Frans Erasmus and back in the day, Tommy Loubser, kind of the 80s, 90s props, Olo Brown, whatever, you know, for New Zealand. And they were very strong scrummagers, you know, extremely strong human beings, but their skill set probably not up in terms of the standards of backline players. I mean, these guys now, you know, these skills, I mean, and Kitsie, for example, soft hands, being able to pass the ball, being able to
I mean,
get a bit
John,
of
when
a
you were
step
still
going.
playing in the back line, I mean, Kitsie had the best skill set in the team, man. He was the best passer,
Yeah. Yeah,
especially off the left hand.
Yeah.
100%.
No, so I mean the way that the prop forwards have kind of evolved into not just being strong guys, but being very skillful as well. I mean, he arrived as an 18-year-old, and so they pack the weights on the bench press, and you know, now you have these strong guys, and 18-year-old comes in. Oh, no, add more, add more.
What's the bench press?
Well, yeah, you won't know.
I must say, like, talking about skill set, it must be Paul Rist days and
Oh, yeah, that didn't take long. That didn't take long.
no, but we, I mean, Davy Snyman was involved with my career from probably under 15. So, I mean, it was so important for him to be able to pass off both hands, step off both feet.
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to create a bit of a dynamic forward. And you just don't think about hitting rucks and scrumming and mauling. Like, you're able to get the ball in space. If there's a quicker guy next to you, be able to get the ball away.
You mentioned Paul Rist, of course, the school with the most ever Springboks, 56, I believe. Ben Jason Dixon became 56, you were 52. And there were actually 6 in the 2019 World Cup? 6 Paul Rist alumni, 5 Springboks, and an Italian.
Yeah, and an Italian.
Bram was also
Bram Steyn.
Was Bram
was he
also
not?
there?
Yeah, also for us.
But what was it, 5? Was it 4 or 5 in the Bok team?
I think
4.
It was
Billy,
Billy,
yourself,
myself,
Schalk.
Herschel, and
Schalk.
Schalk.
Yeah,
4.
And 2 of them from Strand.
2 of them from Strand.
Die Strandhonne.
Yeah.
They represent.
What is it that people don't understand about the struggles of the front row? Like, what can you share with us that these guys, even these guys,
I got no idea.
you know, like enlighten the world?
Yeah. I think I was chatting to Schalk earlier over like a nice coffee and a egg sandwich, and it's basically like the dark arts and like
Arts.
I went to France and I mean played Super Rugby for 5 years back then, and then all of a sudden a scrum against the Tongan was about 40 kgs heavier than me, and I had no clue what to do. Like I mean, the first engagement, the guy just pulverized me, and I was flat on the ground. And then from there, you need to like try and find a way or solution to actually try and survive against this giant of a man. I think probably most of scrummaging comes down to that, is knowing your opposition and then somehow finding a solution of trying to get the team go forward or trying to get a bit of momentum and keep in good shape and making sure don't concede penalties. Like I think that's probably 90% what scrum is these days. Is like you're scrumming against a guy just as strong as you, just as fit and technically good as you, and now you have to try and find a solution of, geez, I'm going to get the team going forward.
Are you still to scrum against that guy?
Eh?
Are you still to scrum against that guy that's just as strong and just as skillful and just as good technique?
I've scrummed a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
Who's in your top 3 worst guys to scrum against?
Frans Malherbe, probably one of the toughest guys to scrum against. And then back in the day it was like Owen, Frans. I mean, my first Super Rugby game against Crusaders. I don't know if you guys remember. We had like a scrum on our own 5-meter line, and the only thing that stopped me from going backwards was the poles, the upright of the poles, and the cushion. I mean, it was reverse gear from second one.
And why would Francie be tough to scrum against?
I mean,
What
I think
makes him hard to scrum against?
I think his ability for such a big guy to be this low from the ground, it's almost impossible to get underneath him and try and keep him up. Like it's heavy, strong, quite physical, big chest. Like he's a tough guy to scrum against.
Best guys to go on a pub crawl with after a Springbok win?
Probably these two guys. I don't know, John after a while likes to get a bit aggressive with me sometimes, but
Tell us more about that.
No, that.
no, I won't. But probably my best mates like Malky, and like he at Schalk as well. Like you'll sit down and have 24 beers, no sweat, doesn't even look a little bit tipsy. So
What about Frans Malherbe? Have you ever been on a pub crawl with him? Hashtag Tour de France.
I think probably when you see Frans at his happiest is when he gets a nice cold double brandy and coke, and he can just sit and sip it, watch the people, have a bit of banter.
Yes. What do you think? What do you think this Monday review will be like with Rassie after Saturday's game in Durban?
Jeez, I don't know. It's not going to be good.
It's not going to be pretty.
No, I think it's talk a lot about the first half and the first 25 minutes. So I think honestly that's probably where we lost the physicality and like most of the battle work. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Do you think we are almost Notre Dame-like in being able to...
Notre Dame or Nostradamus?
Notre Dame.
Okay.
Nostradamus.
Siener van Rensburg. Right?
Yeah. Siener van Rensburg-like. Yeah. In where we got Kitsie as our guest today, knowing that a ginger would kick the winning kick on Saturday.
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, Rassie is a Siener as well, is he not?
Yeah.
Do you think he saw that?
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No one saw that coming. What do you think that would there have been a talk directly after that game? Would he have said anything?
I think probably the talk directly after the game would have been a bit more positive, where it would have been like, listen, you guys fought back well. That classic, we'll have a look over the weekend and then debrief on Monday. But yeah, I think after the game would have been like, listen, guys, enjoy your beers. I mean, you guys fought well. I think that would have been...
We got more reward out the scrum.
Yeah.
You obviously played in Ireland. You know those props well. Was the first test a case of them manipulating, especially the hit, closing space?
Yeah.
Soaking the hit?
Yeah.
Not letting us...
I think
having a fair contest?
Yeah, I think probably trying to get away from it, like trying to get away from that physical contest where it's like forcing a ref to actually make a decision, because that's what we want. Like we want to impose ourselves and force the ref to actually make a call, even if it goes against us. We know, like listen, if we had a full crack at them, I mean, sooner than later the tide would change and hopefully go in our favour. But I think Ireland tried to take that away from us by early engagement, going down or actually soaking it, and then forcing those little free kicks. But yeah, I think the way we approached the second test, we were way more enforcement, like dominant in the way we actually took the setup, kept the space, and then got the proper hit.
You know what I absolutely hate is and where I think we're already seeing that the scrum is being depowered by the new law changes, etc. not being able to go back to a scrum for free kick, etc. But then also when we do get the dominance, and we get the penalty, then the refs blow it immediately, rather than being able to give you
play off the back of it. Yeah.
To play off the back of it, whereas every other call that gets made in a game, there's advantage.
Yeah.
You got the penalty, but then you get the advantage. So you're dominant in that aspect of the game, but you get another go at it. Whereas scrum time, so many times we don't see us getting that opportunity. And I absolutely hate it because it's probably only the Frenchies that actually
Let it go.
is ballsy enough to make the calls and also gives you the chance to play it out the back.
Yeah, I think I think for the referees, it's indicative of how quickly they now call use it.
Yeah.
In the past, they gave your setup, especially with mauls and scrums, a lot more time to settle and move. If a knee goes down now, often and they don't want to call it, they go use it, even though the ball is still at the prop's feet, so you've got to go drag it out. But then when the penalty comes off it, they play it immediately. There's no advantage. And they do the same with the maul. That's why it's so difficult. We didn't see one maul try in this entire series against Ireland.
Yeah.
And why there was so little mauls, because you get no reward off the back of it. Back in our days, you used to exit with the maul if your maul was dominant. If your maul didn't work, then you had to go to something else.
Yes. That's what we're talking about, Nick. Scrums.
Nah, you know what it feels like.
Where were you? Where were you? Where were you
zoned
now?
out for a while.
You're fading away there. What are you thinking about?
He was thinking at Waldorf. Which
Yeah, at
apparently
Waldorf,
is in
when
Waldorf
we-
is in the woods, yeah.
I grew up actually on that mountain just over there.
Yeah.
I was born in a converted stable on a wine farm, just one of only 2 Jewish boys in the last 2,000 odd years to have been born.
In a stable.
Yeah. And I played rugby at Waldorf. I got my colours for rugby at Waldorf. We only played once. Mr. Banter was our coach. I'll never forget. He said, guys, we're not going to play positions as such today. I just want you to go out there and follow your hearts. Just stand wherever you feel comfortable.
Where did your heart lead you to? What position did you find yourself in?
The horse paddock. That's where I played rugby, actually. Up there on
In
the
the
horse
horse
paddock,
paddock.
on my own.
On your own.
Yeah, Freddie Ferreira running around.
Puttiban.
Yeah,
Boetieban.
Boetieban. Get the ball for himself, get the ball for himself, get the ball weer for himself. Get the ball for Karel. Tell us about you barely lost to Ireland last year's Rugby World Cup. What's the team psyche after a loss like that?
Yeah, I think probably Chasing the Sun summed it up the best, where there's a lot of talk about like the energy and actually not thinking you're bigger than the game. Like there's moments against Ireland where we actually...
Did you ever think you were bigger than South Africa? Because you're not.
I'm not.
You're not the biggest thing in
No,
South
I'm not the biggest thing in South Africa.
Sia Kolisi is the biggest.
But yeah, where we actually had opportunities to actually go and win the game, and like probably one of the big talking points was that maul where we had 5 meters out to actually win the game, and you could just see like the guys were tired. I mean, it was long 80 minutes. It was like not a real, can you say, like almost not atmosphere, but like energy around the guys to actually get to that maul, get the ball in the air, and then try and go and score the try. It was like everything was like slow motion, walking, and I think that was probably the biggest changing point for the World Cup campaign. It was taking how we felt in that moment and not experiencing that again, and then you could actually see against like France, the guys were like ramped up, energy was high, and it actually lasted like a full 80 minutes. But then England again, like it was down and out the first 40, and then somehow clawed our way back. But yeah, I think it was that 2 minutes before the end of the game was probably where you saw South Africa like the least amount of energy. There's not like really a list for the game, and like everything went against us. Couldn't convert the kick, but yeah.
But also that World Cup, you take, the 3 wins by 1 point, and I think that's where I really respect the current team is they they find a way, you know, in those tough games. You know, France, this is probably one of the best French teams ever.
Yeah.
You know, and some world-class players in that team. You know, Ireland, obviously, you spoke about the learning from that game. New Zealand, you know, always tough to play against them. And England, where we had everything to lose, they had nothing to lose in that game, but finding a way in those small moments to win and get it through. You know, that's what amazed me from the campaign last year, to have the energy, and yes, like you said, learning from that Ireland moment. But after that, when it counted in the playoffs, every single time where you need to find something, you guys were able to find it.
What do guys do for, what are your mental health hacks? You don't look like somebody who's had any mental health struggles, but after big losses, what is your advice to guys who've ever lost a Rugby World Cup final? I mean, obviously you don't have that experience, but...
Like my honest, I'll dig into 14 beers and enjoy myself a bit, and then go to bed and try and wake up and think about like what I need to improve
binge
for the
drinking.
Monday.
That's
That's not the message.
I saw Kitsie in a dark space once, and he was just deciding whether to launch a Pilsner or lager.
Yeah.
Whether the label's going to be black or white. It was a big thing for him. I got some unbranded Pilsners right in the beginning before they were wrapped
let's
up.
actually talk about beer at this point, because you have launched a lager. It's called
Bomb Squad.
Bomb
No, you
Squad.
don't have to go
Bomb
through your
Squad.
notes. Yeah, we can
It's
just
called
ask-
Bomb Squad,
Yeah.
and it's BS for short.
Yeah. No bullshit.
Was it inspired by any particular teammates?
So it was myself and Malky. We were roommates, and like we were just discussing like doing something post rugby. Like, what are we both into at that
What are
stage?
we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we
Kitsie?
gonna do? I think the first thing that popped up was beer, and like try to figure out like a name. Try to figure out like a name that's gonna suit
It's
us.
the only thing that popped up.
Took them 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Took them 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and then Bomb Squad came up, and then we tried to include Vincent Koch as well, but he said no, he's got other stuff that's keeping him busy. We said okay, fine, it's just me and Malcolm, and that's how the
But I mean, listen,
What will his beer called? Mr. Incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
of all
Why
the
not?
things to call,
Stout, the milk stout.
isn't beer a bit weak for the Bomb Squad? Shouldn't you have gone with like tequila or Mampur or something like
Well,
that?
Monty's got the tequila, and
Oh, Monty's got the tequila,
Yeah.
yes. Now, Ed Sheeran,
Yes.
yeah,
Staying on the topic.
Ed Sheeran has launched a cannabis beer. I noticed.
Nice.
Would you consider launching a cannabis beer? And if you did, would you call it Bong Squad Lager?
it's great. Can I use that?
Yeah,
You should.
I'm going to charge.
There's a lot of medicinal value
Yes.
in.
Post rugby, like
No, but even I mean, it can be it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and you could, think about the marketing as well. New cannabis lager, not to be confused with cannabis lager, which is Heineken. What about, did you guys think, what about a gin?
I think they should do that. Just by the way.
Yeah,
They should
yeah.
definitely
I've got a
do
better
that.
idea I want to pitch to you. What about a ginger beer? Have you thought about that?
yeah, that's good. I like it.
Let's talk about rivalry. Paul Roos, Paul Jim.
That's my biggest game of the year.
Huh? Biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year. We play against boys, but like we're two big schools in a small town, and like there's obviously a lot of bragging rights which goes along with that. But like because we're two big schools in a small town, you're mates with most of the boys at Oaks. I couldn't stand the Stellenbosch Bordeaux Oaks. Heerlijk cat boys. I wanted to hammer them as hard as I could. Luckily in Matric we did.
Yeah.
50-0.
Jeez, that's a big one.
In the rain. It was like
By the way, we forgot, apologies, Damien Willemse, we forgot.
Oh,
Ah,
that's the
Davies,
first.
yeah, that's
there we
it.
go.
There we go.
How can you forget the guy that's won 2 World Cups at the age of 25?
Yeah,
And obviously, boys' schools, traditionally, this is where rugby players come from, boys' schools, and you got to keep
Oh,
you got to keep them away from the girls. That's really the key. The red hair is it's a recessive gene, right? And so meaning that red hair only comes about in relatively closed communities.
lot of inbreeding.
Basically, when relatives get too
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
Tell us about your family history.
Tell us about the Strand.
Growing up in St. Rand.
Yeah.
No. So, both my family side, like on my parents, on my dad's side, it's only my dad who's got red hair. And on
His second cut, his...
no one else.
No.
He's the only redhead, so
Okay.
he's Malcolm Antisian.
yeah.
And his sister/wife.
Yeah. And then on my mom's
Yeah,
side,
I was joking.
and on my mom's side, it's only her sister that's got red hair. So, like everyone else has got dark brown hair or black hair, and it's just my dad, and on my mom's side, her sister.
Have you ever, like, has the ref ever lost his red card and then just...
No, never. Never.
Have you ever had a red card in a game?
No.
Never.
Only,
No.
only
Yeah.
yellows.
John said what?
Skala, jy het nooit 'n rooi.
I got double yellows
Yeah.
twice.
Welcome back to Banter with the Boys. We're talking support for gingers in World Rugby with renowned ginger Steven Kitshoff. Kitsie, how do you feel about us coming out in support of you?
To be honest, I can't take you guys serious anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Especially when John's like playing.
Are you familiar, Kitsie, with the series of jokes? A grap is a grap. I've got some of my favorites for you today. What did you call that segment? Bad jokes, bad dad jokes. Let's go
Bad
with
jokes.
a grap is a grap, grappa. A grap is a grap, maar ek vond ons on the internet. A grap is a grap, maar jy speel nie in pink rugby nie. 'n Grap is 'n grap, maar jy plak nie 'n rivalries sticker op 'n lyksbaan nie. 'n grap is 'n grap, maar jy maak nie 'n sambreel in 'n man se hol oop nie. And this one's for you, Kitsie. 'n Grap is 'n grap, maar jy los nie 'n gemmer in die son nie. Is that true?
That's true.
That is true. Let's talk about. Let's wrap things up with your future goals. Not many peaks left to summit.
Can we not speak about his experience in Bordeaux?
Bordeaux, yes.
Yes.
Tell us about the fine vintages of 2015 and 2016.
Schalk and I went, that was my first, at the World Cup,
I think
first
it was
time to Bordeaux,
It was mine too. It was my favorite city.
by far. So beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and like, I mean, 2015, I wasn't a big wine drinker by then, and I mean, I completely got converted to red wine. Like those 2 seasons there.
So you went for the red, right?
Yeah, I went for the red. But no,
You were actually there during some of the best vintages
Yeah.
of the modern era.
yeah, and it was like really awesome experience, like to be there.
How's your French?
No, I lost all of it.
No.
Merci. Bonjour.
Voulez-vous?
Vin Rouge.
But how did you catch on quite quickly? Were you able to speak the language properly?
No, not properly. I could get by in a very basic conversation, like pretty much what we're doing now.
So, let's
Most of your conversations.
Let's test that out. Can you understand me when I say Ribéry avec le ballon bon crochet, Nelke place au foie Nelke ma Benzema avec le tir, but
Yes.
La Juma.
That's a football
Benzema
game.
scored a goal.
I can't repeat word for word, but no.
And Amy, did she catch
Yeah,
on?
She really enjoyed it. So her French was probably 50% better than mine.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about Bordeaux was there was a lot of like expats that owned like bars and restaurants all over the city, which was quite cool, and we became mates with them. So spent a lot of time in their pubs.
Yeah.
A lot of the Frenchies did come there, but like it was, I mean, that's where we watched the rugby. That's where we had like post-match drinks and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's where we actually spent
More
most of-
English communities. And,
Yeah.
No, it's lovely. Yeah, it's a lovely
No, it
part.
was
I'd love
incredible.
to go back. Yeah.
And is it true that the French hate the English more than the Boere do?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like proper like playing Heineken Cup or Investi Cup. It was proper. Like if you had to play against like Harlequins or one of those teams, it was proper hatred like building up in that week.
Yeah, we experienced it, different to these guys who knocked the French out and then they were hated for the World Cup further on. We got to the final in 07 and we were playing against England. And the whole town turned to green and gold. The building opposite us had like big banners, Go Springboks. The English menus came out on the bars. And they were like, please, we can't lose. You guys can't lose this weekend. So they were full-blown box supporters for
Eiffel
our
Tower,
final. Eiffel
green and
Tower,
gold.
green and gold.
Sure. One more thing I want to ask while we have these on is tell us about moving to Ireland, going to play for Ulster. Don't you think sending a ginger to Ireland is a bit like sending a snook to Saldanha? Is it the ginger version of sending coals to Newcastle?
Yeah.
How was it?
I actually felt in. Like my skin was the right color, or not color.
For the
but
first
like
time in your life,
like I was bleak enough.
felt
to,
at home.
Yeah, I felt very at home.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of the sun going outside. It was wet and cold, but like I could still go out like short sleeves and comfortable, not
And-
feeling I'm going to get burned.
And unlike the weather, the people are warm.
Yeah, exactly. No, there was. I mean, it's probably the friendliest people I've ever met in my life. Like people from Belfast. Like it was proper. I really enjoyed it. Drank my body weight in Guinness. Yeah, had a real good time there.
Good to have you back home, though.
Yeah, it's good.
Good to have you back in
That
SA.
is right. You're going to be
back for the
joining
Stormers.
I mean, the irony of coming back at this stage of a career, that you still feel like a youngster if you take into account Brock Harris is there at age 40 and Alistair Vermaak's there at age
35 and Branas.
and Dion
Upper
Fries. I mean, he's still walking around with someone else's knee at age 39.
Yeah, fountain of youth. Like
Yes.
he somehow found the fountain of youth.
He
7,
has,
8
eh?
seasons left for you. These guys have set a high bar.
It's very high. There's like a mountain in front of me at the moment.
Just think about it. Counted it in pre-seasons.
Yeah,
How is that knee feeling, Kitsie?
strong.
Good.
Like my proper return to play date will be like 3 weeks from now.
Return to play 3 weeks from now?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And what was wrong exactly again?
So I had a bad MCL for a while.
Yeah.
And then got a shot against Clermont, and it was just like a meniscus. So I did microfracturing just to get the cartilage sorted.
Sort of okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
No.
On the outside lateral
Yeah,
side.
on
yeah.
lateral side.
The lateral
The
meniscus.
lateral meniscus.
Actually, I had a post
yes.
Waldorf rugby had an op on my.
Also microfractures.
Yep.
I had the same.
Now the reason you're actually coming back is actually financial, because you got bought out. You still had a couple of years left in Ulster, and thanks to the new Red Dizer consortium, you're coming home to Cape Town. Now, Red Dizer, do you have shares in Red Dizer?
But coincidence.
But it has been a massive injection into Stormers rugby. Things were looking pretty dire. Tell us about what that's like. How you feel about coming back here?
Yeah, yes, I'm super excited to be back, and I mean working with Dobbo and like a big core group of guys. When I left was still here, so yeah, really excited, and I think for Stormers rugby going like the more professional route, I think it's just great for rugby in Cape Town. To be honest, like I mean, give Dobbo the chance to actually run with the team and get the right guys in place and try and win more trophies.
Can I take my wig off?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
it
go
is
with you.
the end of the. It's the end of the show now.
Okay.
Words of wisdom.
Yo, it's hot.
Shoo. You were part of the original bomb squad, of course. What did that feel like at the time, Rassie put this idea together?
So how it actually happened was like he called the two front rows into like a meeting room. It was myself, Malcolm, Frans, Vinny, Beast, and Bongi at that stage. And Rassie actually asked, like, guys, so like any of you guys can start the game, but like who would prefer? And like the first guy stuck his hand up was Beast. Like, no, coach, I would love to start. I said, no, it's perfect. Like I can play off the bench. Like don't mind being at match day 23. Just want to play. And then Malcolm said the same. Like, he said, coach, like, listen, I'll play off the bench. And Vinny, to be honest, I didn't actually have a choice. But then,
When he was just on the bench.
yeah, on the bench, like awesome bench player. But that's just like how the Bombs got started. So we, like, it was the three of us originally, and then like as the World Cup carried on, like RG joined, became like a consistent bench player. Flo became a consistent bench player. So is Franco, and and just one day, like, we started calling ourselves the Bomb Squad, and because it was like quite cool, because it was always like
Who came up with the name?
Franco.
Oh, there
So
we go.
Yes.
Yeah, and like because it was like me and Malcolm and Vinny came on together at once, and then 2 locks came just after us, and it was like a like a consistent flow of just like guys coming on and just trying to change the game or win the game or just close it out, and that's how Bomb Squad originated.
Any final words of wisdom, anything you'd like to share with your fans out there? My son wants to know, how much longer are you going to go on for? That's what an old man heckled me at the old age home the other day.
I mean, as Scala said as well, like Brock Harris and Branas and those oaks are setting the standards quite high for, but I'll definitely try and see if I can make another World Cup. I'll be 35 at the next one, so, and then I'll see what happens after
Still
that.
young,
3 in a row.
Still young for a prop.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Kitsie.
Spicy plum, Banter pants, Nik Kitshoff. Thanks for joining us. Episode 4, Banter with the Boys. We'll be back this week, but for another episode.
But we will be back.
2 days or 3 with former Springbok fly half, Butch James, a man who, unlike Steven Kitshoff, has been sent off numerous times.